Well, this morning of day 4, I think. Day 5, maybe. Last night was pretty intense. Pretty intense. I was going into it wide awake, and I wanted to have the theme of just surrendering to the medicine, and I was still pretty disappointed. I don't really get much of an experience the first night. Like, even though I took a lot away from it in terms of lessons and revelations, I was really disappointed. I didn't get the full effect, and I had no idea what was coming. Absolutely no idea. It was, to use the word intense doesn't even describe a fraction. If intense, in the full meaning of the word, to compare that to what I went through last night was a grain of sand compared to a mountain. It was just so overwhelmingly powerful that I had a really hard time holding on. I did good. I didn't need to knock for help or call anybody, but wow. So I spent a lot of time reflecting throughout the day and speaking with Lee and Max Egan, and I just really wanted to have an experience. And so we went in and I centered myself, and I'd done meditation before, and it was well grounded, and it kind of made sense why I didn't have one the first night. And like she said, your body was fucked, and she needed to prepare me to handle what was about to happen, and that was night 2nd ceremony. And so I was offered the medicine, and before it even started, me and my partner had asked Lee, for a double dose right off the bat. Oh wow, that was a mistake. The moment the medicine hit my lips, I was fucked. Just completely fucked. I threw up at about 10 minutes after I took the medicine. I thought, oh great, this isn't gonna work. But I mean, it was already working, and I was worried that maybe I wouldn't get a full experience, but I got a million times more than a full experience. It was on a whole new level. Words can't even describe the intensity of what I went through. So I was the first one to drift off. Maybe 20 minutes. They say it takes about 40 minutes to an hour for it to kick in. Not for me. 20 minutes and I was completely gone. So I closed my eyes and had these really powerful visions. And what it was just a dark space, ether, I guess, just the realm of darkness. And this panther come to me, and it said, it was Mother Ayahuasca, and she had this really sly look on her face and was kind of measuring me up to see how much I could handle. And she asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, well, I just want to surrender. And she said, oh really? And I said, yeah, I just want to surrender. Let you show me whatever it is that I need to know. And she kind of looked at me with this really sly smile and said, we'll see. And I said, okay. And she said, what would you like to explore? And I said, I'd kind of like to explore consciousness. She said, okay, good answer. I like you. And I replied back, I like you too. Thank you. Follow me. Are you ready? Absolutely. And that was kind of the theme of the whole night. So we walked through this dark portal, which I can only explain as this giant egg-shaped liquid. And as we walked through, you could feel the energy getting stronger and stronger. We'd get through the portal and she'd say, who's in charge? And I would say, you are. She says, what did we come here to do? And I said, work. She said, good answer. I like you. I said, I like you too. Are you ready? Absolutely. All right, follow me. Try and keep up. Okay. Oof. We went through the next portal. And as we went through each and every portal, I started to get pins and needles, but pins and needles times 10 million. I started developing this mantra with her in order to hold on, because the journey was so intense that, you know, I can't believe I made it through. I thought it would have broken me for sure. So as we went through these portals, we would stop for a minute and just experience what was in there. And it was just energy just vibrating through me, like it was changing my frequency. We'd get to the next portal and she'd say, what is this? And I would say, oh, these are feelings. And she'd say, good answer. I like you. I like you too. She'd say, would you like to explore for a while? Absolutely. So I never tried to guide her or tell her. Every question she asked me was basically, you know, do you want to? And I would always just say absolutely. And then as we explored feelings a little bit, just radiating, you know, all these different feelings, which wasn't too intense at that point, but I could feel that I had lost control of my body. I had no control whatsoever over my hands or face or anything like that. It wasn't bad at that point. I was super excited and ready for the journey. I had no idea what was in store for me, but at least I was having an experience, so it was really exciting. And she kept looking at me with these sly smiles, and after we got through about the 7th portal, it started to change a little. Kind of feelings and then healing. I could feel her going through each and every muscle in my body, and then the energy literally permeating through every cell inside of me and changing me, raising my vibration and frequency. As we went even deeper, she would ask me, she turned to me and said, you know, what was your hope for tonight? And that was to surrender. And she said, yeah, we'll see. And she pushed me to the absolute very brink of what a human being can handle. It was so phenomenally intense that I'm still trying to contemplate what the lesson was, because it wasn't much of a journey. It was just one portal after another, and as we radiated and vibrated at a higher frequency, she would say to me, you know, it was like a test. Each portal we went through was a test, and she'd say, how do you like this energy? And can you handle this energy? And I was like, absolutely. She said, how much can you take? And at the beginning, it was as much as you can throw at me. And she says, I like you, and I like you too. And then, you know, I would laugh in between as we're going through each portal. We must have went through about 1,000 portals, just over and over and over again. Each one, you know, about 10 times more intense than the previous. And she would say to me, what are we here for? And I would say, work. And she would say, who's in charge? I would say, you are. She'd say, good answer. I like you. I like you too. And we'd go off to the next portal. And then the next portal, as it got stronger and stronger, it was kind of like, after about 15 or 20 portals, and I think she was just kind of testing the waters to see if I could carry the frequency and vibration. We finally got to that point where I pretty much lost all control, and she shot me up into the meditative position, which, you know, I generally can't sit in for more than 5 minutes. I felt no pain whatsoever. I actually felt just a little bit, and she just turned to me and said, that's, you know, you don't need that anymore. You can either choose to feel pain, or you can just ignore it because it's not real. And I said, okay, well then I choose to ignore it. And then boom, all the pain was gone. And I was sitting in that meditative position, just my hands frozen open. frozen open like this the entire time, just shaking, absorbing that high frequency energy. And as we move forward, she'd say, who's in charge? I'd say, you are. She'd say, what are we here for? Work. Do you surrender? Absolutely. We'll see. Are you ready for the next portal? Absolutely. And then before things got really hard, she turned to me and she kind of laughed and she said, I'm gonna allow you to have one thing tonight. What do you think that is? And it was kind of scary, and I thought, well, no matter what happens, I have to breathe. So my breath. And she's like, good answer. I like you. I like you too. Off we go to the next portal. And then after about 25 portals, it's really hard to remember it all, but it shifted into literally just a radiating ball of pure white light, sitting there, radiating energy, nothing. I couldn't feel anything anymore. I was just stuck there, radiating this brilliant white light. And she would say, what are you? And I would say, I'm pure energy. And she said, what are you here for? And I would say, to do work. She'd say, what are we doing? I'd say, work. She says, can you handle it? And I would say, absolutely. She'd say, how much can you handle? And I said, as much as you can throw at me. And she says, good answer. I like you. And then again, this kind of went on. So each and every portal we went through got stronger and stronger to a point where we finally literally, I think, just peaked. And at this point, it was like, the only analogy I can give would be like holding on to a lightning bolt, a massive lightning bolt the size of a just giant oak tree, and literally trying to hold on to a lightning bolt for about 3.5 fucking hours. It was just so phenomenally intense, and I'm still not entirely sure what the lessons are. And she said I would understand later, but it was like she was, as we progressed through this, she was testing me on each different level, and halfway through she was like, wow. And it was kind of this conversation with her and some other entities saying, I don't know if we should take him further. And she's like, I think he can handle it. Can you handle it? And I was like, absolutely. How much can you handle? And at this point, the energy was so strong, I thought, I'm not going to tell her as much as she can throw at me, because I don't know if I really can handle all that. So then my answer became, as much as you think I can handle. And she would say, good answer. I like you. And at this point, I was starting to wonder, and I asked her, I said, why do you keep saying that you like me? And she says, I don't. You keep saying you like me. And she said, we'll see if that stays the same by the end of this. And she kind of smiled, and we continued on through the next portal until we weren't going through portals anymore. We were just, and she kind of showed me, so this tree trunk of energy, which felt like holding on to a lightning bolt, I was pure energy vibrating as a giant ball of light, just maybe the size of a giant beach ball or an exercise ball, one of the bigger ones. Just literally just vibrating pure white light. And eventually this giant beam of light shot into me and then radiated throughout the circle. And she showed me that light in a beam going through each and every individual in a circle and coming back to me, in 2 waves. It would shoot out both ways, and both of them would return to me, and then they would shoot up into the universe. And wow, it was so intense, but I could handle it, and I was happy I was having an experience. I mean, I didn't think it was going to last long, and yeah, was I wrong? It was about 3.5 hours of that hard intensity. And so it if my wife will know, it's the breathing was like the peak of her labor, and it literally lasted 3.5 hours of and it would come in waves, and as everybody was receiving their journeys, it was all flowing through me, and I could feel it. And she would say the only way I could hold on was one, through my breath, and that wasn't doing it, but was speaking with her. She was in my mind, and anytime I would I would feel overwhelmed, and that was like every 10 seconds for the next 3.5 hours. She would say, "Hey, keep up, are you with me?" And I would say, "Absolutely." She says, "You can't drift off, we're too far now, it'll break you, you have to stay the course. Can you do it?" And I said, "Absolutely." "Okay, well then stay with me, keep up, don't forget to breathe." Okay, and so it just continued on, radiating that energy for everybody in the group, and that white light just beaming through everybody and then returning to me and shooting up into the sky. And she was really, really impressed at that point, and she's like, "Wow, this is impressive. It's been a long time since I've had somebody that can handle this amount of energy." And she says, "How much can you take?" And I said, as much as you think I can handle." She said, "Good answer." She said, "This is going to be painful." And it kind of scared me a little, and I just said, "I surrender. I can, whatever it is you feel I need to see, then let's do it." And she liked that. She had a sense of humor about it, and was testing me. And she looked at me and she said, "This is going to be really intense, and you can't break away from it, because we're so far deep now that I have to bring you out slowly. You've completely transcended the human body, and you're just radiating pure energy. And not only are you just radiating pure energy, but you're holding the energy for the entire group, and what felt like almost like the entire planet. It was just so phenomenally intense. Words can't even describe it." But she said, "This is gonna hurt." And I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Pain." And at that moment I could feel everybody's pain all at once, simultaneously, whether it be my sore back and muscles times by a million, added with their sense of inadequacy and all of their fears, and just everything, every sensation of pain you can possibly imagine from everybody in the group, and what felt like the entire planet just radiating through me in waves. And they would get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where I thought I was going to break. And I would just keep breathing and breathing and breathing, and when it got really, really intense, I wasn't aware of my surroundings at all. I was just trapped in this bright beam of light radiating through everybody around the room. I could, in my head, I could see what was happening, but my eyes were closed almost the entire time. I couldn't even open them. I had no control whatsoever. The pain was really hard to get through. Emotional pain, physical pain, mental pain, all of it just flooding through me, absorbing it, so that my neighbors could release their pain, and I could truly experience what pain really was. So I've struggled with back pain my entire life. Maybe that was part of the lesson. I'm still trying to sort out what exactly the lesson was from last night. Besides surrendering, I absolutely surrendered. I mean, it was a really cool experience, but the intensity wasn't. I had no idea. I mean, other people were dancing around looking at pretty lights, and here I am holding on to a fucking lightning bolt for 3.5 hours. It was hard. It was really hard. I wasn't necessarily jealous. I was extremely grateful that I was having an experience, and I knew it was whatever it was something I needed, and it was very important. And there was points where she would stop and talk to these other entities, and I couldn't see them, and they were kind of arguing, like, he can't take that much. And she's like, "I don't know, I think he can." And then she would just say, "Well, we'll find out, I guess." And they were just kind of indifferent to whether or not it was actually going to break me, or if I could take it, which was kind of scary. But it continued on, and as the shaman were moving around the circle, it took him about 3 hours to get to me, maybe 2.5 hours. No, it was about 3 hours. And as they sung to me, they were at my neighbor, and at that point, it was so overwhelmingly intense. And she looked at me and she said, "It's almost over. You cannot give up now. It'll break you. I have to bring you out of this slowly. Like, you're not even in your body. I need to bring you back down." but we have to finish the work. Can you handle it? And I thought, you know, and I said absolutely, but I said it in a way that was like just completely, I surrender. Like, you know, I was done. She could feel it, but we still had to get through it. We were so close. So this airplane. So when the shaman came and sat in front of me to sing to me, when he was at the neighbor, she said, "It's almost over." And I was like, "Oh, thank God, like I cannot take this much longer." And she said, "Don't worry, you've done absolutely phenomenal." It kind of gave me the strength I needed to continue on and just finish off. And I could tell, I knew in my heart that we were almost done, but I had to continue absorbing these waves of pain and energy and light, and holding on to this lightning bolt and vibrating on levels you cannot even possibly imagine. And so when the shaman finally got to me and started singing to me, it really just started to bring me out of that. And the whole time it's like, why are we here? We're here to do work. Who are we doing this for? We're doing it for the group. What are you? Pure energy. And I just kept repeating that mantra, and she would keep asking me every time I would drift off because it was too much to handle. She would say, "Hey, stay with me. You can't break away from this. You agreed to this. Who asked for this?" And I would say, "Oh, I did." She said, "What are we here to do? Work. What are you? Pure energy. What are we doing? We're holding the frequency. Who are we doing it for? The whole group. Who's in charge here?" So you are. She'd say, "Good answer. Keep going. You're a champ," you know. And I just, at that point, I was like, "Oh, you know, I don't care if I'm a champ or not. I'm like, this is too intense. I can't maintain this for any longer." And so as the shaman was singing to me, slowly started to bring me back into my body, and you know, pins and needles doesn't even describe it. I mean, pins and needles times a trillion, just vibrating. I slowly started to feel my body again. And the shaman were like, they were talking to me telepathically, and the two seemed like they were looking at each other and kind of discussing and saying, you know, "Wow, I can't believe he took all that." And they were kind of laughing and giggling and being like, you know, "Wow, he's gonna be so tired after this is over." And I was exhausted. I felt like I'd been up paddling a boat on the ocean for 30 days straight without sleep. It was just so phenomenally exhausting. I just slowly started to come back into my body, and as I was doing this, the shaman were kind of talking to me, or what I thought, you know, telepathically, and each other, and saying, "Wow, look at the amount that we've accomplished with this one individual. This is absolutely amazing." And they called in the masters that they were talking to before. So the panther was in front of me, Mother Ayahuasca, and the spirit of the earth, and then the elephant Krishna, or I'm not exactly sure of the name, but the elephant god from the Indian religion, and then a turtle, and a few other things. I believe a wolf and a lion. And they all kind of surrounded me in a semicircle, and they all bowed to me, and like in a sense of, wow, look at what this one individual was able to handle, and let's praise him for it, because they were blown away. And you know, here are these gods that are just blown away at what I just went through, and it was so humbling. I broke into tears for about 5 minutes and just bawled my eyes out, because it was so humbling to have. You know, it's like having God come down and personally thank you and be like, "Wow, I had no idea you'd be able to handle that. Like, wow, I still can't believe you actually did handle it." And it was just this overwhelming sense of accomplishment that I was able to get through it. I didn't, you know, when you get in trouble, you knock. Most people, you know, can't handle that intensity, and they just literally just get dragged to the back room, kicking, screaming. You know, just they're not able to handle it. And I took it like a champ. I didn't knock once asking for help. My partner was beside me, not my partner, just another gentleman. He could tell what I was going through, and he would remind me as we were doing it, breathe, deep breaths. And I was just like, oh, thank God somebody's there to, because it was so intense. There would be moments where I would go without breathing for, what felt like a minute and a half, and just dealing with the intense pain and energy that was flowing through me in this giant lightning bolt that I was riding. And then the gods were turning that lightning bolt up in the waves that were hitting the group, and the intensity just vibrating and pulsating, and wow, absolutely wow. And so, not having an experience on my first trip, and what she told me was, your body's fucked, and before we can move forward, I need to do a bunch of prep work. And well, I had no idea what she was talking about, but it all made sense on the second journey, because if I tried to do that the first journey, I'd have been broken physically and mentally, completely broken, snapped. The one guy that completely loses his mind on the ayahuasca journey. So it all served a purpose. It was all for a reason, and I'm still not sure exactly what. I know what I accomplished. I was able to help everybody in that group, and I don't know where else. Felt like the whole planet, but it didn't. I don't know if it had a lot of lessons to it. I didn't do anything else but just continue through those portals and speak with Mother Ayahuasca. And there weren't really conversations. Like I said, it was just that mantra over and over and over again. Every time my mind would slip and begin to like fracture on the brink of losing it, she would pull me back and say, stay with me, breathe. Are you with me? Yes, I'm with you. What are we here for? Work. What are you? Pure energy. And I was just exhausted and done, and finally it the shaman was done singing and it ended, and both the shamans just went quiet all of a sudden, and they both looked at each other and laughed, and were like, wow, look at this champ, like look at what he just went through. And then nothing was said, but we all knew it, and all three of us kind of laughed and giggled, and they were like, okay, we're gonna bring you down and bathe you with healing energies to try and help with what you just went through, because my physical body was in so much pain, like I couldn't even lean forward. When he come to me, my partner said, the guy beside me said that your shaman's here, receive your blessing. And he's like, do you want to sit up? And I was like, absolutely. And I couldn't move at all, and I was like, can you help me? And he's like, absolutely. And so he lifted me up, and I was able to sit up in that position, and just felt like this warm, pure love, like just pure love. When you're in the womb of your mother, and you're just the world's every ounce of love in the world just radiating through you, and it just really felt wonderful. Yeah, and then it took about another 10 minutes to finally just come back into myself, and again, pins and needles for about the next 2 hours, and not even pins and needles doesn't even describe it, just the amount of energy vibrating through me that was still just the residual energy from holding on to that for so long. It's such a high intensity. It was just, yeah. So, wow, yeah, trip number 2, and let me tell you, I got the experience I was looking for, and then some. Yeah, it was wonderful and painful and scary at the same time, but I'm really glad I was able to do it, and I was able to maintain control. And as the day progresses and the week goes on, I'm sure I'll learn more about what was happening. But yeah, wow. So I'm gonna get some breakfast, and I will see you after ceremony number 3, and that is a super moon, so it's supposed to be pretty spectacular.